Hi, how's it going, guys? My name's Cameron, and you're watching the Pixel Judge Weekly News Recap for the week of April 7th through the 12th. We haven't been doing a lot of these for the past few months, so for those of you who are unfamiliar and haven't seen these before, we pretty much just go over the big news stories relating to PC gaming for the week, and we'll hopefully have one of these bad boys for you every Sunday or so. If you like these and you want to see more of them, or you just think my voice sounds stupid because I can't properly say 12th for some reason, feel free to leave a comment below, either on YouTube or on Pixel Judge, and we'll be sure to read them. Starting us off this week, we've got some information regarding the PC version of Ubisoft's Watch Dogs, namely its system requirements and the extras we'll be getting as PC players. If you're looking at the PC gameplay running in the background, you'll notice it's probably a lot prettier than the console footage we've been seeing recently. Why does it look so pretty? Well, according to Ubisoft's Paul Vlassi, that would have something to do with Nvidia's HBAO Plus and TXAA technologies, which improves the shadows and ambient lighting, as well as fixing flickering problems, respectively. You'll notice that Nvidia seems to be all over this, but fear not, these features aren't disabled if you're running an AMD card like me, they just weren't designed for it. So, Watch Dogs is pretty, but what do the system requirements look like? And you must need a pretty beefy computer to play it, right? Yeah, let's just say you won't be playing it on your mom's netbook. Along with only supporting 64-bit operating systems, it's recommended that you have 8 gigs of RAM, an 8-core processor, and an Nvidia GTX 560 or AMD equivalent with at least 2 gigs of video memory. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that's not really a cheap card. The cheapest I've seen that fulfills those requirements is still a solid 150 USD. It'll take up about 25 gigabytes in hard drive space, and it's super weird that that isn't huge anymore. I remember when a game would be over 20 gigabytes, that was insane. Jumping back onto the Nvidia bandwagon, we've got Nvidia's big GeForce Experience 2.0 update, which is great for anyone that uses that GeForce Shadowplay recording thing. The reason being because before Shadowplay only worked and you could record full screen games, but now with the 2.0 update, if you're on your desktop, you can record anything on your desktop, that being windowed games, borderless windowed games, anything, your weird collection of photos that I don't want to go into. Now, they've also brought the game recording feature over to Nvidia laptops, but unfortunately only in full screen mode as it worked on the desktops before the update. So you will not be able to record your desktop on your laptop. It's very confusing to read this. Along with that, though, Nvidia laptop gamers can now also stream their game to their Shield device, because previously you'd need your desktop and not your laptop. And you can download this 2.0 update in-app through the GeForce Experience if you have it on your computer already, or if you don't have it at all, you can go download it manually at geforce.com. Moving on, we've got a Kickstarter for you guys to consider backing. Remember Outcast? Yeah, it was a little open-world action-adventure game released by Infogrames a whopping 15 years ago, back in the ancient days of 1999. It was pretty revolutionary at the time, but let's be honest, it hasn't aged all that well. Last year, the group of Belgian developers that worked on the original game all those years ago announced that they'd gotten the IP from Atari with the intentions of reviving the franchise. They've been kinda dark since then, until last week, and they launched the Kickstarter for it, promising, and I quote, a AAA game for the price of an indie game. They're asking for a cool $600,000 US and are hoping to bring Outcast into the modern era of PC gaming by recreating everything from the ground up just for the PC. Not only that, but when Outcast is released, 5% of their profits will be donated back to Kickstarter to help fund other projects, which is pretty cool. It's hard to believe that it's already been over a year and a half since Borderlands 2 came out, and the game's final DLC came out just last week, so what's next? Well, there's that Tales of the Borderlands game coming out of Telltale, but there's also Borderlands, the pre-sequel, coming out of Gearbox's Australian division, that has you witnessing the rise of Handsome Jack, who is the antagonist of Borderlands 2. It's called the pre-sequel because it's a sequel to the original Borderlands and a prequel to Borderlands 2. It's pretty much Borderlands Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, except with more fart jokes. So with a new Borderlands game comes 4 new playable characters, right? Yeah. The 4 characters we'll be playing as now are Athena, who who is in the Secret Army of General Knox DLC for Borderlands 2, Wilhelm, who is one of the bosses, Nisha, the Sheriff of Lynchwood, and Claptrap. Yeah, Claptrap. He's got guns now. You can play as Claptrap and shoot people. The game will be taking place on the moon. Pandora's moon, to be specific. There's jetpacks, new damage types, and really that's about all we know so far. But it'll be more Borderlands, so that's always a good thing. I'll go ahead and bring up Nvidia for like the 15th time this video. Remember that ridiculous $3,000 Titan Z card they revealed last month? Yeah, AMD has their own ridiculous card now too, albeit for half the price at a mere $1,500 US. It's called the AMD Radeon R9 295X2, and it's a hell of a mouthful to say compared to Titan Z. It's essentially two R9 290Xs stuck together with two Hawaii XT GPUs and 4 gigs of VRAM. Sounds like it'd take a lot of power, huh? Yeah, about 500 watts TDP. So is this thing gonna like burst into flames when you plug it in? Hopefully not. There's default water cooling along with a 122mm fan. I meant 120. I don't know where the extra 2 came from. This guy is clearly made for the crazy PC builders out there, and with a price tag higher than my car, I'll probably have to sit this one out, guys. I'm sorry. Following the usual trend of making a MOBA out of anything, really, Orcs Must Die is getting a MOBA. Yeah, it's called Orcs Must Die Unchained. And it'll be third person, and it'll have the trap system, and maybe it'll be a lot of fun. Maybe, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be fun. I'll keep my hopes up, you know? I mean, there have been bad MOBAs, sure, but Orcs Must Die was a lot of fun, and it's made by the developers, so maybe that game will translate well. You know, it has the minion waves already, so you know, you just double that, mirror the maps, have all the minion waves going at each other. Yeah, this could be alright. Maybe. So, we've got a new MOBA coming out, but what's the other genre that people are super into at the moment? That's right, open world zombie survival. And we've got a new one in H1Z1. It's being developed by Sony Online Entertainment, and right now it's pretty bare bones. Looking at it, it's kind of just an open field full of zombies. You're collecting supplies, other players are collecting supplies, you can shoot at each other, or at zombies. It's the basic idea of zombie survival PvP game. Now, going down the line in the future, it'll have some features like you can burn things, you can build things, and when I say you can burn things, I mean you can burn down buildings, trees, burn fields. It's like Far Cry 2 kind of sorta. And the interesting thing is it goes with the player built housing, kind of like Rust, where you can light someone's house on fire. I'm sure that totally won't be exploited and trolled at all. It's on the PlanetSide 2 engine, so it's really fast and it's not quite as janky as DayZ is, so that would be a super cool alternative for people if they don't really like the fact that you have to turn a certain way to walk through a doorway sometimes, or zombies are running through the walls at you. You know, I'm sure it's got its own host of problems at the moment because it's not even available to the public at all, so it'll probably be a while before we see anything more out of H1Z1, but don't be surprised when we do. If you're a PC gamer, you've probably heard of Star Citizen by this point. It's the most crowdfunded game of all time, and it's accumulated something ridiculous like $40 million in crowdfunding. And so, it's awesome that we finally get a look at some gameplay. They released some gameplay footage that was live, and it doesn't show a whole lot. It just shows the animation. You can walk to your spaceship, jump in, and then it showed some basic flight and combat. Some of the sound effects were missing. The animation's cut short sometimes. So, you know, it's not finished yet, and because it's unfinished, it's not set to release anytime incredibly soon. But the gameplay that's going on in the background right now is set to be in an early access version of the game that might be made available to backers as early as this month. And that's pretty cool. So, at PAX East this year, Firaxis unveiled a new Civilization game called Civilization Beyond Earth. There's interviews talking about human history and futures and resources and exploration, but The basic gist of the new game is that you're playing Civilization, and it's in space, and it's tweaked a bit, it's a little bit different, and it has some Alpha Centauri mixed in, making the game a bit of a spiritual successor to the aging strategy game. Civilization Beyond Earth goes a bit more in depth with the creation of your nation, if you want to call it that, and that you're picking your colonists, and your spaceship, and your sponsors, and all that sort of thing. And with Civilization's massive surge of popularity over the past couple of years, it will certainly be good to hear that we'll be getting more of it, and not just an expansion pack. This is a $50 release that is expected to launch later in 2014. Well, that about wraps it up for the news this week. Again, if you enjoyed this or found it helpful in any way, please leave a comment below, either on YouTube or on Pixel Judge, telling us what you think. Keep with us, and we'll see you next week for another Pixel Judge News Recap.